The first time Sloane Bennett saw her, she was standing in the wrong place, wearing the wrong dress at the wrong time, yet looking more right than anyone had ever looked in Sloane's entire life. The ballroom had gone quiet. Crystal chandeliers shimmered overhead, and cameras clicked like nervous heartbeats. Sloane, CEO of Bennett Global Enterprises, the most sought-after bachelorette on the East Coast, was standing on the grand stage of the Riverside Hotel, moments from announcing a fake engagement, part of a carefully crafted PR maneuver designed to soothe shareholders, deflect rumors about her private life, and buy her more time to finalize the company merger that could define her career. Everything had been rehearsed. The lighting, the music, the script, even the pre-approved bride-to-be, who had signed an NDA in exchange for a six-figure fee and a future fashion deal. But none of that mattered now, because the woman walking down the aisle toward her, wide-eyed and clearly panicked, was not the actress Sloane's team had hired. She was someone else. And she was stunning. Tousled dark hair barely pinned back. A white gown borrowed, possibly from a backstage rack. Combat boots barely hidden beneath the hem. Lipstick smudged like she'd kissed someone and then thought better of it. Or maybe wanted to do it again. Sloane's voice caught at her throat. She wasn't sure whether to stop the ceremony or let it burn. The girl looked just as confused. A stagehand whispered urgently in Sloane's earpiece, "We had a mix-up. The other girl is stuck in the freight elevator. This one, she's from catering. Her name's Wren."
Wren.
A name soft enough to be a whisper, sharp enough to feel like a dare. The crowd, oblivious. Hey, if you're enjoying this story, go ahead and drop a like to help us grow even more. And let me know in the comments, on a scale from 0 to 10, what score would you give this story so far? Your feedback makes all the difference. Erupted into applause. Sloane's VP gave her a look from the front row. Play along. The board was watching. The cameras were rolling. She had seconds to choose between order and chaos. Sloane took Wren's hand. It was trembling. So was hers. "Just follow my lead," Sloane whispered, too close to her cheek, breath warm. "What is happening right now?" Wren hissed under her breath. "You're marrying me," Sloane said, deadpan, as the officiant launched into the script. "For the next 6 minutes. Smile. I swear to God, I was just trying to drop off champagne. And now you're the face of a billion-dollar company's future. Congratulations." Wren looked like she might faint, or laugh, or bolt, but she didn't. She held her ground, lifted her chin, and played along. The tension between them was electric, dangerous,
Confusing.
and so real it made Sloane's heart pound for all the wrong reasons. Or maybe all the right ones. Vows were exchanged, pre-written, absurdly vague. A ring was slipped onto Wren's finger. Platinum, borrowed, definitely not hers. And when the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Sloane hesitated. Just long enough to let Wren look up at her and whisper, "Don't you dare." Which, of course, made it impossible not to. The kiss was brief.
Chaste.
Performed for the cameras. But Sloane tasted something in it, something defiant, unexpected, addictive. When it ended, Wren muttered, "I'm so getting fired for this." "Not if I promote you," Sloane murmured. The crowd cheered. Champagne flowed. The press descended. And Wren? She vanished. One moment she was beside Sloane, holding a crystal flute awkwardly, smiling like a hostage, and the next she was gone. Slipped out through the kitchen doors, back into whatever world she came from, a world without million-dollar gowns or PR contracts or kisses that left you needing answers. Sloane searched for her. Discreetly. Days passed. No trace. She told herself it didn't matter. That it had been a glitch in the script, a detour, a PR mess to be cleaned. But every time she looked at the photos from the event, that kiss, those eyes, that fire, she knew something had shifted. And when an envelope arrived on her desk 3 days later, no return address, just a catering invoice and a handwritten note that said, "Next time, warn a girl before you put a ring on it." Sloane smiled and whispered to no one in particular, "There's going to be a next time." Sloane couldn't stop checking her inbox. For a woman who handled mergers worth more than most people's lives, who ignored senators' calls and deleted text messages from actual royalty, it was utterly humiliating to admit, even to herself, that she was refreshing her email like a high school girl waiting on a crush. But Wren hadn't responded. Not to the thank you message Sloane had someone send under a false name. Not to the bonus wire transfer, 5 times what any caterer should have received. And definitely not to the invitation enclosed with a sleek black envelope, which read, "Ms. Bennet cordially invites you to a private dinner to apologize for the absurdity of last Saturday night." No response. Silence. Sloane didn't like silence. It was unnatural, uncontrolled, unpredictable, and it made her think too much about the one kiss she hadn't been able to fake. On the 6th day, she took matters into her own hands. She canceled her meetings, put on jeans, actual denim, a move that made her assistant drop her tablet, and drove herself, in an unmarked car, to the address listed on the catering invoice Wren had left behind. It wasn't what she expected. A warehouse-turned-loft, red bricks and high windows, paint peeling like someone was always halfway through fixing it but never finished. Sloane buzzed once. Nothing. Again.
Still nothing.
She was about to turn away when the door opened, halfway, and there she was.
Wren.
Barefoot, messy hair, tank top with faded ink that said "not yours to fix." "I was wondering how long it'd take you. You knew I'd come? You're predictable. You kissed me first. You paid me after." Sloane smirked. "I've had worse nights." Wren leaned against the frame, arms crossed, unapologetically unbothered. "So, what do you want, CEO?" "Dinner." "You've already tasted the catering. This time I want the chef." Silence. Then a smirk. "You're lucky I find cocky women hot."
Sloane blinked.
"You do. Not you in particular. Just the species. Charming. Sarcastic. Hungry." "Fine," Wren said, sighing like she was doing Sloane a huge favor. "I'll feed you. But not in some 5-star, paparazzi-infested place. If we're doing this, we're doing it my way. Which is, no staff, no press, no dresses. You bring the wine, I'll bring the sarcasm." Sloane's lips twitched. Done. 2 nights later, Sloane arrived at Wren's place again, this time with an overpriced bottle of red and 0 expectations. She didn't wear makeup. Her blazer was wrinkled. She was, for once, entirely out of her element. And it thrilled her. Wren opened the door with flour on her cheek and cinnamon in the air. The loft smelled like heat and sugar, and something deeper, something safe. Dinner was a disaster. The risotto burned. The salad was mostly arugula and attitude. Sloane dropped her fork twice. Wren spilled wine on the counter. But they laughed. Real laughter. Loud, unfiltered, messy. Sloane couldn't remember the last time she'd laughed without calculating how it would look in a photo. After dinner, they sat on the floor, knees touching, passing the bottle between them. Sloane loosened. So did Wren. Secrets slipped out like steam. Sloane confessed she didn't remember the last time someone said her name without an agenda. Wren admitted she'd dropped out of culinary school to take care of her sister. There was a long pause after that. A heavy one. Sloane turned to her. "Do you regret it?" "Not for a second. But some nights, I wish I'd had someone who gave a damn about my dreams." "What about now?" Wren looked at her. "Now? I'm staring at a billionaire in borrowed sweatpants who might be the weirdest plot twist of my entire life. And I don't hate it." Sloane leaned in, breath catching. "Wren, don't." "Why not?" "Because I don't do this. Not with people like you." "Then what am I?" "You're dangerous," Wren whispered. "You make people forget what hurts. I could help you remember what heals." "See," Wren said, eyes dark, voice unsteady. "Dangerous." But she didn't pull away. Not when Sloane's fingers traced the side of her face. Not when their lips met again, this time without a crowd, or cameras, or expectations. Just breath.
And skin.
And heat. The kiss was longer, deeper, slower. When they finally pulled apart, Wren's voice was barely a breath. This doesn't mean anything. I know, Sloane lied. It's just dinner. But even as she said it, she knew. Nothing about this was simple. And it was only just beginning. Sloane didn't sleep that night. She left Wren's loft past midnight, hair messy, lips still tingling, brain useless. Her driver didn't ask questions, which was good, because Sloane didn't have answers. She just sat in the back seat, replaying the kiss on a loop, heart betraying every instinct for logic. For the first time in years, she hadn't planned what came next. She always had a plan. Always.
But now?
She had a girl in combat boots in her head and no PR strategy to contain the chaos. The next morning, the headlines hit. Someone had leaked photos from the wedding. The media was ablaze. CEO's mystery bride. Who is she? A real kiss or a real setup? Sloane Bennett's engagement sparks queer frenzy. Sloane's board was divided. Half furious, half thrilled. Publicity was up. Stock prices climbed. But no one knew the truth, that the woman beside Sloane in those photos had never been supposed to be there. And Sloane had never wanted someone to stay so badly. Her assistant barged in mid-meeting, tablet in hand. The media wants a statement. And we've got 3 networks offering exclusive interviews. Tell them nothing, Sloane said flatly. You want to ride the mystery? I want to protect her. The assistant blinked. Her. Wren. The name landed like a secret escaping. Later that day, Wren texted. Just one sentence. Did your world explode yet? Sloane stared at the screen, smiling despite herself. Only a little. Wren replied instantly. You owe me lunch for the trauma. Dinner. You don't negotiate well. I'm used to getting what I want. Dangerous words. I remember you saying that the last time you kissed me. I'm free tonight.
So am I.
That night, they met at a tiny bar in Brooklyn that Wren chose specifically because no one there knows what a stock option is. Sloane tried to blend in, jeans, black jacket, no makeup, but head still turned. Not because she was famous, but because of the way she looked at Wren, like a match about to burn down her carefully built life. They found a booth in the back. Drinks came quickly. The flirting came quicker. So, what exactly did you tell your people about me? Wren asked, sipping her whiskey. That you're a threat to national productivity. Is that a compliment? It's an understatement. Did you always talk like this? Or is it just with me? I only flirt when I'm terrified. Wren smirked. Then you must be absolutely panicking. I am. Good. Hours passed. Conversations spun into confessions. Sloane admitted she hated her penthouse. Too cold, too quiet. Wren admitted she still talked to her late mother's photograph when no one was watching. Sloane nearly reached for her hand. Wren almost let her. Almost. You're not used to being seen, are you? Wren asked softly. I'm used to being photographed. Not seen. Then what are we doing? You're ruining me. Or maybe, Wren said, eyes steady. I'm finally making you real. They didn't kiss that night. They almost did twice, but Wren pulled back. Said she needed to breathe. Sloane respected it. Mostly.
She sent a car anyway.
Waited until Wren got home safe. Then spent the next 2 hours staring at the ceiling of her penthouse, haunted by the curve of Wren's smile. The next day, Wren walked into Sloane's office unannounced. Her staff looked ready to call security until Sloane told them to leave. Alone, Wren dropped a manila folder on Sloane's desk. What's this? My resume. Sloane blinked. You're applying for a job? You said you wanted to protect me.
Fine.
Put me on the payroll. Make it official. That way, if they dig into my life, at least I'll have an HR file and a company email. You're not serious. You started this. You pulled me into your spotlight. So own it. And what exactly are you applying for? I don't know. Personal chaos coordinator? Handler of impulsive billionaires? Executive kisser? Sloane bit back a laugh. You sure you're ready for this? Wren leaned in, palms flat on the desk. I'm not scared of you, Bennett. You should be.
Why?
Because you've never had someone who talks back. Because I don't know how to stop wanting you. The air cracked between them. Then Sloane took a pen. Signed the bottom of Wren's fake job offer. Welcome to Bennett Global, Ms. James. You know this won't make things easier. I don't want easy, Sloane said. I want you. For how long? Until you stop making me feel like I'm on fire. Wren smiled. Then buckle up, boss. I burn slow. Wren's first day at Bennett Global was absolute chaos, and not because she did anything wrong. It was because she existed. Sloane's staff had survived billion-dollar crises, tech leaks, even a cybersecurity breach in Singapore. But nothing prepared them for the storm that walked into the building in vintage denim, combat boots, a blazer stolen from Sloane's closet, and a coffee cup that said, "Not here to impress your CFO." Wren didn't try to blend in. She smiled at no one. She carried no laptop. She refused the assistant someone tried to assign her. And when asked where her desk was, she answered, "Wherever Sloane needs me to be." That got around the building in under 10 minutes. Sloane was in a board meeting when the first wave of texts hit her phone. "Your girl's here. She's terrifying. We love her." Sloane ignored them all. She told herself this was temporary. Strategic. A PR move disguised as a favor disguised as self-preservation. But when she stepped out of the conference room and saw Wren sitting cross-legged on the corner of her own desk, flipping through a thick file with a lollipop in her mouth, Sloane forgot every lie she'd rehearsed. "You're late," Wren said. "It's my company." Still rude. "You're chewing candy over my acquisition proposal." "Relax. I haven't drooled on it yet. You're supposed to be shadowing me." "I am. I'm learning what happens when billionaires try to pretend they're not attracted to women in boots." "That's not in the file." "It's all over your face." Sloane stepped closer. "Too close. You're going to make this very complicated." "You hired me for chaos, remember? I hired you to protect you. So, you could stop obsessing over me?" "No," Sloane said, voice lower. "So, I wouldn't lose the only woman who's ever made me feel like myself." The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was heavy, deliberate. Charged. Wren shifted off the desk, stood in front of her. "You really want to do this?" "I already am. There are people watching. Let them learn." And then Sloane kissed her. Not a performance. Not for cameras. Just raw, unscripted want. Wren responded instantly, hands in Sloane's jacket, lips urgent, bodies pressed together like they were burning from the inside out. It lasted all of 20 seconds. Then Wren pulled back, breathless, eyes narrowed. "You know this doesn't mean I'm going easy on you." "I don't want easy." "You've said that before." "Because it's still true." "Fine," Wren said, stepping back, straightening her clothes. "But if I'm going to be part of this fantasy empire, I want to see how the magic works. I want access. Real access. No filters." "You want to see behind the curtain?" "I want to rip it down. Then come with me." Sloane took her to meetings. Introduced her to heads of departments, clients, partners. Wren asked sharp questions, cut through corporate talk like a blade, and never once pretended to be impressed. She wasn't there to flatter. She was there to understand. That night, Sloane took her to a gala. Wren wore black silk and still managed to look like she could punch someone in it. They entered arm in arm. The cameras went wild. Whispers followed them. "That's the girl from the wedding photos. Is that real?" Sloane Bennett's gone off script. They danced once. Slow. In public. The music was soft. The glances weren't. Wren whispered in Sloane's ear, "Do you ever get tired of pretending?" "With you? I don't have to." "Good. Because I'd rather ruin the whole illusion than let you hide behind it again." Sloane turned to face her, inches apart. "You're ruining me. Or saving you." That night, back in the car, Wren said nothing. Just looked out the window, silent. Sloane thought maybe she'd gone too far. But when they reached her building and the elevator doors closed, Wren pushed her hard against the wall and kissed her like she'd been starving all night. When they broke apart, Sloane barely managed to whisper, "What was that for?" Wren smiled, wild and unapologetic. "To remind you, I'm not just a PR accident. I'm the biggest risk you've ever taken. And what if I fall? Then you fall into me. Sloane laughed, breathless. You're going to be the end of me. Or the beginning. The elevator dinged. They stepped into darkness. Into something neither of them could name. And upstairs, behind locked doors, the real chaos began. The next morning should have felt like regret. That was the narrative Sloane was used to. Mistake, damage control, cleanup. But waking up with Ren's arm draped over her waist and the morning sun spilling across the sheets like a spotlight made her feel everything but regret. Ren was still asleep, one leg tangled with Sloane's, lips slightly parted, a small crease between her brows like even in sleep she didn't fully trust the world to leave her in peace. Sloane didn't move. She watched, listened, memorized. Because in that moment, nothing existed outside that bed. No stockholders, no contracts, no consequences. Just the warmth of another body that didn't need her to be anything but real. When Ren stirred, she opened one eye and groaned. Please tell me you're not staring at me like a creepy painting. Too late. Do I look that good or that confusing? Both.
Damn.
I was going for intimidating. Try harder. Ren smirked and rolled on top of her, straddling her waist, messy hair falling in all directions. You're not scared of me, are you? Terrified, Sloane whispered. Good. That means you're still sane. They didn't leave the bed for hours. Talk turned into touch. Sarcasm turned into sighs. Sloane forgot how to be composed. Ren never tried to be. At noon, Sloane's phone exploded with calls. She ignored them. At 1, her assistant banged on the penthouse door. You've got an interview with Forbes in 20 minutes. Tell them I'm busy, Sloane shouted back, Ren's mouth on her neck. Doing what? Bad decisions, she gasped. When they finally emerged, Ren wore Sloane's button-down shirt and nothing else. Sloane wore the smirk of someone who'd stopped pretending to care about appearances. Downstairs, reality was waiting. Paparazzi outside the building. Headlines speculating. And in Sloane's office, a crisis. A leaked internal memo. Someone had exposed the company's strategy behind the fake engagement, a plan Sloane had long since abandoned the second Ren walked down that aisle. Now the board was panicking. Accusations flew. Questions about integrity, about manipulation, about how far Sloane would go for attention. Ren sat on the edge of the desk while Sloane paced. Do you need me to disappear? She asked. What? I mean it. I can ghost. Make this go away. You can blame me. I'll say I faked it all. Sloane stopped.
No.
Never. Then what's the move, boss? Sloane turned to face her. The truth. You sure?
No.
But I'm more sure of you than I've been of anything in years. That afternoon, Sloane called a press conference. Ren tried to talk her out of it, but Sloane was done hiding. Cameras flashed. Reporters screamed. Sloane stepped up to the podium and said, There's been speculation about the nature of my engagement. So, let me clarify. It was never meant to happen the way it did. The woman you saw beside me was not part of the original plan. She was an accident.
A mistake.
A total deviation from everything we rehearsed. And the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Gasps.
Clicks. Flashbulbs. Yes, our wedding began as a PR stunt. But it ended with something I never expected. Something real. I fell for someone I wasn't supposed to. Someone who doesn't care about wealth or power or headlines. And for the first time, I care more about protecting her than protecting my image. Reporters shouted questions. Sloane ignored them. Walked off stage. Straight into Ren's arms behind the curtain. That's going to cost you, Ren said softly. I know. Maybe everything. I've already gained more than I ever had. The backlash came fast. Articles. Commentaries. A competitor launched a campaign mocking the wedding debacle. A shareholder threatened to sue. Sloane's company took a temporary hit. But the public? They didn't care. They loved it. Loved her. Loved them. And suddenly, for the first time in a long time, Sloane realized something terrifying and exhilarating. People weren't watching her because they hated her. They were watching because they were rooting for her.
For them.
At home that night, Ren sat cross-legged on the kitchen counter while Sloane poured them both glasses of wine. So, what now? Ren asked. You've told the world. You've burned your perfect little PR fantasy to the ground. What's next? Sloane handed her a glass. Now we find out if this is real enough to survive the fallout. Ren raised her glass. To chaos. To honesty. To us. They clinked glasses. But in the corner of Sloane's mind, a flicker of doubt remained, because not everyone was ready to let her be happy. And someone, somewhere, was already sharpening the knife. Ren wasn't used to being hated.
Ignored, yes.
Misunderstood, definitely. But this kind of public, weaponized hatred? That was new. The day after Sloane's press conference, her face was everywhere. Zoomed-in paparazzi shots, reaction videos, think pieces. Some painted her as a manipulative social climber. Others romanticized her as the accidental muse of a billionaire. Neither version was true, and both made her want to scream. The worst part? She hadn't even done anything. She hadn't chased the spotlight. She hadn't asked to be dragged into Sloane's carefully curated world of image and illusion. All she did was walk into the wrong room wearing the wrong dress and kiss the right woman. Now, she couldn't even go to her favorite cafe without someone whispering, "Is that her? She doesn't look like a millionaire's type. I bet she's in it for the money." Ren ignored them. Mostly. But each glance chipped away at her. Each comment pressed harder against her ribs until she felt like she couldn't breathe. That night, Sloane found her on the fire escape, sitting in the cold with a bottle of cheap whiskey and headphones on, music blaring. Sloane opened the window. "You're going to freeze out here." Ren didn't move. "I liked my life better when no one gave a damn about me." "You didn't mean that." "Didn't I?" Sloane climbed out onto the metal grate, sat beside her. "I didn't think it would get this bad." "Of course you didn't. You've spent your life being worshipped. You don't know what it's like to be hated by strangers for just existing." "I do now." Ren looked at her. "Do you regret it?" "What?" "Going public. Telling the truth." Sloane was quiet for a moment. Then, not for a second. Ren shook her head. "You're insane." "Probably. And reckless." "Definitely. And maybe the only person I've ever met who makes me want to stay when I should run." Sloane turned to her. "Then stay. Give me one reason." "Because I'm not letting them rewrite you into something you're not." "They already did." "Then let me show them who you really are." Sloane reached into her coat and handed Ren a sleek black folder. "What's this?" "A partnership. I want you to design a culinary series under the Bennett brand. A real project. Something that has nothing to do with me. Just your name. Your vision. Your story." Ren blinked. "Are you serious? I want the world to know who you were before they tried to define you by me." "That's a PR move." "It's a love letter disguised as a contract." "I thought you didn't do feelings." "I didn't. Until I met you." Ren opened the folder. The proposal was real. Funding, staff, creative control. Her name at the top not as an employee but as a founder. She closed it slowly. "What happens if I say yes?" "Then you stop being my shadow and start being your own light. And if I fail, then we fail together." Ren took a long breath. The city roared below them. Somewhere, a siren screamed. She reached over, laced her fingers through Sloane's.
"Fine.
But I want full creative control. And if you try to make me put truffle oil on anything, I'm out."
Deal.
"And no cameras at the launch." "Agreed." "And you keep kissing me like it's the only thing that makes sense in this insane world." Sloane leaned in. "That part comes naturally." They kissed again, slow, anchoring, defiant. A promise forged in chaos. The next few weeks were a blur of movement. Ren launched her project, Ren and Fire, a docuseries following underground chefs, forgotten recipes, and the emotional stories behind the food. She was raw, sharp, beautifully unscripted. The public fell in love. Again. For the right reasons this time. But behind the praise, something darker brewed. Sloane's PR team received a package, unmarked, untraceable. Inside, an envelope of printed photos. Candid shots. Ren alone. Ren entering buildings. Ren with her sister. Notes scribbled on the back in red ink. You don't know who she really is.
She's not who you think.
You should have stuck to the script. Sloane's blood ran cold. Someone was watching Ren. Tracking her. Waiting. That night, she didn't tell Ren. She held her tighter in bed, watched her breathe, and silently promised, if they come for her, they'll have to go through me first. Sloane didn't sleep. She lay in bed beside Ren, staring at the ceiling, fingers tracing the curve of her shoulder in the dark, over and over like a prayer she didn't know she was saying. Every sound outside made her flinch. Every creak in the hallway felt like a threat. The photos from the package were locked in her safe, but the image of them burned behind her eyelids, the angles too invasive, the captions too calculated. Someone was watching. Someone who knew how to hurt without touching. She wanted to tell Ren. Desperately. But Ren was finally breathing again, finally smiling, finally proud of something that had nothing to do with Sloane's empire, and everything to do with her own fire. Sloane couldn't take that away. Not yet. Not unless the danger got closer.
So she made a plan.
Increased security at the building. Instructed her driver to take alternate routes. Assigned a shadow team to follow Ren discreetly, under the guise of protecting production footage. She told herself it was enough. It had to be. But deep down, she knew it wasn't. The next morning, Ren was already dressed when Sloane woke up. Leather jacket. Coffee in one hand. The kind of wild energy that meant she was planning to throw herself into the day like a lit match. You're staring again, she said. I'm memorizing. Dangerous habit. You've infected me. I'm a disease now. A beautiful one. Fatal. Ren rolled her eyes but smiled, leaned down to kiss her forehead. I've got 2 interviews and a shoot today. I'll be home late. Try not to burn the empire down without me. Only slightly tempted. That's my girl. Sloane watched her leave and immediately called her head of security. I want to know where she is, who's near her, what route she's taking, and I want you 5 minutes ahead of every move she makes. Ma'am, she'll notice. Then make it invisible. But make it happen. At the studio, Ren's shoot was going better than expected. She was interviewing a grandmother who ran a tamale stand out of her garage. The cameras were rolling, the smells were divine, and for the first time all week, she felt grounded.
Whole.
Until a man showed up. Mid-40s, expensive coat, calm eyes that made her stomach twist. He didn't introduce himself to anyone. Didn't ask for permission. Just walked up behind her when the camera cut and said, "You don't belong in this world." Ren froze. Excuse me? You think you're special because you fell into her bed? Because she let you wear her last name for 5 minutes? Who the hell are you? Someone who knows how this story ends. He slipped a white envelope into her hand. You should read this before it's too late. Then he was gone. No name. No explanation. The crew barely noticed. Ren's hands trembled as she opened the envelope. Inside, a series of documents. Legal filings. Custody papers. And a photo of her sister from years ago, alongside a court date circled in red. A date next week. Her stomach flipped. These weren't fake. They were real. Confidential. Things no one should have access to.
Sloane.
That was her first thought. Sloane must have dug these up. Manipulated her. Pretended to care. The heat in her chest turned to fury. That night, she stormed into the penthouse without knocking. Sloane stood up from the couch, halfway into a smile before she saw Ren's face. What happened? Don't. What? Don't act innocent.
You went into my past.
You went after my sister, Sloane. Sloane paled. What are you talking about? Ren slammed the envelope onto the coffee table. You had no right. Sloane picked it up. Flipped through it. Recognition bloomed in her eyes. I didn't do this. Then who the hell did? Someone who wants to scare you. Someone who's trying to drive a wedge between us. It's working. Ren, please. You don't get to say please. You're the one with the power here. The one with cameras and men in suits and a life so big it swallows people whole. I can't breathe in it. Then let me make space for you. I'll cut anyone out who makes you feel small. Can you cut yourself out? The words hung like poison between them. Sloane took a step back. You don't mean that. I don't know what I mean anymore. Then don't walk away.
Not now.
Not like this. Ren looked at her, eyes hard, then softer, then completely unreadable. I need time. She turned.
Left.
This time, Sloane didn't follow. She just stood there, hands shaking, wondering if she'd already lost her before the real war even began. Sloane had always thought heartbreak would be loud, breaking glass, screaming melodrama. But it wasn't. It was silence. It was the click of the door closing behind Ren and the absence that echoed louder than any argument ever could. Days passed. No word. No messages. Just absence, stretching out like a void that swallowed everything good. Sloane buried herself in work. Meetings. Numbers.
Deadlines.
She moved like a ghost in designer heels, smiling at investors, shaking hands with board members, all while bleeding under her skin. At night, she'd sit on the edge of the bed Ren once curled into, staring at the imprint on the pillow like it might still be warm if she reached fast enough. But it never was. Meanwhile, Ren vanished. She shut off her phone, canceled interviews, stopped production on Ren and Fire. Her team was confused, but she gave no explanations. She stayed at a friend's loft on the Lower East Side, where no one asked questions and no one cared that she used to date a billionaire. She needed time.
Space.
But mostly, she needed to stop hearing Sloane's voice every time she closed her eyes. Her sister, Ava, noticed immediately. Did she hurt you? She asked one night, curled up on the worn couch. Ren shook her head. She tried to protect me. That's the problem. You're mad because she cared? I'm mad because she has the power to break me. And I think she already has. Ava studied her for a long moment. Ren, don't punish someone for loving you the only way they know how, especially when it scares them. You sound like Mom. Mom would have said, get off your ass and fight for the girl. Mom had no filter.
Exactly.
Neither do you. So why are you being such a coward? Ren didn't answer. But the next morning, she opened her inbox. There were dozens of unread messages. One from Sloane's assistant, one from the Ren and Fire production manager, and just one directly from Sloane. No subject, no body text, just a single attachment. Ren opened it. It was a voice recording. Her thumb hovered for a second. Then she pressed play. I don't know what to say that doesn't sound like a press release. But I'm sorry. For the silence. For the fear. For not knowing how to protect you without hurting you. I miss your laugh. I miss your terrible coffee. I miss the way you roll your eyes when I say something that scares you, because it's true. If this is the end, fine. But if there's even a crack in that wall between us, just a crack, I'll break through it. I love you, and I'm not afraid to say it out loud anymore. Ren sat frozen, then hit play again, and again. That night, she showed up outside Bennett Tower. No security stopped her. No one questioned her. It was like the building itself was holding its breath. She found Sloane alone in her office, lights low, staring at the skyline like it might offer a way to erase the past week. I listened, Ren said softly. Sloane turned, startled. Ren, you talk better when I'm not in the room. I didn't expect you to come. Neither did I. So, why are you here? Ren stepped closer. Because I'm tired of hurting. And I think you are too. Always. Then maybe we stop punishing each other and start figuring out how to live in the same world without falling apart. Is that possible? Only if we build a new one. Sloane crossed the room slowly, stopped inches from her. I love you. Ren met her eyes. You're late. I've loved you since the moment you said, just follow my lead. Sloane laughed, choked, pulled her in and kissed her like she'd been waiting forever. It was less fire now, more gravity. Not a collision in orbit. That night, Ren stayed. They lay in bed without touching at first, just breathing. Then hands found familiar places, slowly, reverently. They didn't need to rush. The world could wait. But in the darkness, as Sloane drifted into sleep, Wren whispered, "Someone out there is trying to tear us apart. We can't ignore that." Sloane didn't open her eyes, but her hand tightened around Wren's. "We won't. Not anymore." Neither of them saw the email that hit Sloane's inbox at 3:12 a.m. No sender. No subject. Just one line. "You brought her back." Mistake number 2.
And attached?
A photo of Wren, taken just hours ago, outside Bennett Tower, smiling. The morning after Wren returned, everything felt deceptively calm. The sun poured into the penthouse like it had been waiting for her. Sloane made coffee badly. Wren teased her, gently, and for a few hours, they allowed themselves the illusion that the world outside had stopped spinning. But by noon, that illusion shattered. Sloane's assistant barged into her office without knocking. "You need to see this." She handed over a tablet with shaking hands. On the screen, an anonymous blog post. Title: "The Real Wren James. What Sloane Bennett Doesn't Know." Sloane read every word, heart sinking with each line. It was a detailed hit piece, ugly, personal, invasive. Claims about Wren's teenage arrest record, a misunderstanding, sealed years ago. Twisted stories about her dropping out of culinary school. Accusations that she'd dated women in power before to climb the ladder. Sloane felt her stomach turn. Where did this come from? No one knows. The site's offshore. It went viral overnight. Pull it down. We tried. It's already been copied to 20 other sites. Twitter's on fire. Wren's trending worldwide. Sloane didn't wait. She sprinted to her apartment, heart pounding. Wren was on the couch, barefoot, holding her phone like it was radioactive. She didn't look up. "So now the world knows I got arrested at 16 for stealing tampons." "It's not true. It's half true. I did it, but it was for my sister. We didn't have money. I thought it'd be easy." Sloane knelt in front of her. "I don't care. Let them write whatever they want. I know you." "That's the thing," Wren said, voice hollow. "They don't want to know me. They want to own the narrative. And you're in it. So now I'm the threat." "No, you're the truth. And people are scared of the truth." "You still don't get it." Wren stood. "This isn't about bad press anymore. This is personal. Someone is trying to destroy me. And maybe you too." Sloane rose slowly. "Then we fight back." "With what?
Money?
Lawyers? That doesn't fix being this. Being the wrong girl in the wrong story." "You're the right girl. The only one I've ever wanted in my story." Wren's eyes shimmered with fury and something far more dangerous, fear. "If this keeps going, I'm going to lose everything I've built. And I don't even have that much." "Then let me protect you. You keep saying that like love is a shield." "No," Sloane said, voice low. "Love is a weapon. And I'll use it on anyone who tries to touch you." That night, they went to an emergency meeting with Sloane's security chief and legal counsel. The blog post had originated from an IP routed through multiple countries, but one lead stood out: a wire transfer from a private account linked to Hayden Caldwell. Sloane's ex-powerful, vindictive, still bitter about being cut off from the company and the woman who built it. "He's targeting her to hurt you," the chief said. "He knows where to aim." "Then hit back," Sloane ordered. "I want everything."
Dirt.
"Leverage. I don't care what it costs." "There's one more thing," the security officer said carefully. "The photo of Wren outside the building, it was taken from inside. Your building. Someone here is leaking intel." Silence. Sloane turned to Wren. "You're not safe here." "Where is safe, Sloane? With you?" "Yes." "Then prove it." They packed that night. Quietly. No staff. No drivers. Just a duffel bag and a change of clothes. Sloane took Wren to a private estate in upstate New York. Quiet, gated, off the grid. "You have a safe house?" Wren asked, eyebrow raised. "I have 6. "How very Batman of you. Only without the trauma." "Well, less trauma." "Don't joke," Wren said. "I've never been this scared before." "Then lean on me." "What if you lean back and I break?" "Then I'll fall with you." The next day, they stayed inside, watched old movies,
Cooked together.
held each other in silence. At night, Sloane traced circles on Ren's back and whispered, "We're going to win this." But deep down, she knew this wasn't just about headlines anymore. It was a war, a slow, psychological one. And the people behind it knew exactly where to hit. That night, Sloane's phone buzzed again. One message. No number. You're hiding her.
Cute.
But you can't hide forever. Attached, a photo of Sloane in the safe house kitchen, pouring wine. Taken through the window. Recently. Ren saw her expression change. What is it? Sloane hesitated, then handed her the phone. Ren's face went pale. They know where we are. We'll move again. No, Ren said, voice suddenly cold. No more running. What do you mean? Ren stared at the photo, jaw tight. It's time we go to war. Ren didn't sleep that night. Not because she couldn't, but because she wouldn't. She sat by the window of the safe house, eyes fixed on the tree line, knuckles white around a mug of coffee that had long since gone cold. Sloane watched her from across the room, wrapped in a blanket, trying not to show how terrified she was. Terrified not of the enemy, but of the possibility that she might lose Ren again, this time not to distance or doubt, but to a rage that refused to be soothed. Ren, she whispered, come back to bed. I'm done hiding in beds. You're not alone in this. No, Ren said, still staring outside. Now you're a target too. I don't care about me. I do. That silence between them held weight, like the pause before a storm. Sloane stood and crossed the room slowly, kneeling beside her. Then let me help. Let me fight with you. You don't know how to fight dirty. I have an entire team that does. Ren turned to her, finally. Then let's start there. By morning, Sloane had activated every private channel she'd spent years curating, the kind of off-grid contacts that weren't listed in her Forbes profile. Black hat hackers, investigative journalists who owed her favors, lawyers who played by no rules but their own. It took less than 12 hours to confirm what they suspected. Hayden Caldwell had paid to have Ren followed, investigated, and framed as a manipulative social climber. But he hadn't done it alone. Someone inside Bennett Global was feeding him intel. A leak. Personal. Precise. The betrayal hit harder than the lies. Sloane called a meeting with her inner circle, 5 people. Trusted. Or so she thought. One of you is feeding my ex information about the woman I love, she said, voice like ice. You have 24 hours to come clean. After that, I burn this building down until I find the traitor. Her CFO, nervous. Her communications director, wide-eyed. Her assistant, visibly sweating. Her head of security, expression unreadable. Ren stood at her side, quiet, scanning faces, listening more than speaking. She wasn't the outcast anymore. She was the fire. That night, Sloane and Ren returned to the penthouse. Not because it was safe, but because they were done hiding. We need to hit back publicly, Ren said. Turn the narrative. We will. I mean it. No more passive press releases. No comments. We take control. You want to tell your story?
No.
I want to show them.
So they made a plan.
A public documentary.
Raw.
Unedited. From Ren's perspective. How she was dragged into a fake engagement, fell in love for real, got targeted by a powerful man who couldn't stand to lose control. They'd use Sloane's resources but Ren's voice. The first teaser dropped on a Thursday night. 1 minute long. Just Ren, alone on screen, saying, "You think I'm a gold digger. A liar. A mistake. But you only know one version of this story. And it's time I told mine." The internet exploded. Hashtags trended. Messages poured in. Some hateful, but most supportive. People wanted to hear her. Believe her. And Hayden? He panicked. Enough to send a cease and desist. Enough to show his hand. That was the opening Sloane needed. She countered with a lawsuit, defamation, digital stalking, attempted corporate sabotage. Her lawyers worked like assassins. But it was Ren's presence in the press that turned the tide. She went on camera again and again, refusing to be victimized, refusing to shrink. Sloane stood beside her every time. Until one night, as they walked off a late-night talk show set, hand in hand, Wren said, "I think we're winning." "You think?" Sloane smirked. "I've never lost a war. You've never fought one that meant this much." "True." Wren looked at her. "Do you think we'll survive it?" "We're not just going to survive," Sloane said. "We're going to rewrite the ending." But just as the air started to shift, just as momentum turned in their favor, Sloane's phone buzzed with a message that froze her blood. A single word: checkmate. Attached, a photo of Wren's sister, Ava, leaving her college building. Taken from a distance. Time-stamped.
That day.
Sloane felt her stomach drop. "No," she whispered. Wren turned instantly. "What is it?" Sloane didn't answer. She just handed her the phone. Wren went pale. Her voice cracked. "They're going after my sister." Sloane grabbed her coat. "We're not letting that happen." "Where are we going?" "To take back control." "And if they try to stop us?" Sloane's voice turned steel. "Then I'll remind them exactly how dangerous love can be." Sloane drove like she had nothing left to lose. Her jaw was tight, knuckles white on the steering wheel, mind spinning through 10 different scenarios, none of them good. Wren sat beside her, silent. Not crying, not trembling, just still. Dangerous. She hadn't said a word since seeing the photo of her sister, Ava, leaving her college building, unaware she was being followed. "You okay?" Sloane finally asked. Wren's voice was like broken glass. "I was prepared for them to come for me. Not her. Never her. They made this personal. It was always personal, but now it's war." They arrived at Ava's dorm before midnight. Sloane's private security had already stationed themselves discreetly, blending in like shadows on the perimeter. Ava was safe. Confused, but safe. When Wren hugged her, she didn't let go for almost a full minute. "You don't need to explain," Ava said softly. "I trust you. I trust her too." She nodded toward Sloane. "Just win." Sloane and Wren returned to the penthouse with fire in their veins. Sloane poured 2 fingers of whiskey, but didn't drink. Wren paced. "They're still watching us. Every move. Every message. Then we stop reacting. Meaning, we go on offense." Sloane pulled out a folder from her private vault. "Hayden has always been 2 things. Arrogant and messy. And I've always kept receipts." Inside the folder, documents, bank statements, old audio recordings. Proof of Hayden's previous unethical deals. His manipulation of stock prices. Blackmail. And something even worse. A bribery scheme involving a tech merger that, if exposed, could cost him everything. "Why haven't you used this before?" Wren asked. "Because I never needed to. Until now." "So we blackmail him?"
No.
"We let him destroy himself." Sloane called in every contact she had. Regulators, journalists, federal agents she'd kept at a distance until now. Slowly, methodically, she laid the foundation for Hayden's collapse. Meanwhile, Wren went on the offensive her own way. The second episode of her documentary dropped. It opened with her walking through the neighborhood she grew up in. No makeup. No glam team. Just her voice. "You know the version of me they gave you. Let me give you mine."
She talked about poverty.
About being 17 and alone. About loving women and being told to shrink. About Sloane. "She never asked me to be anyone else. She just saw me. And I saw her. Past the power. Past the walls. I saw the woman who wasn't afraid to love something real. Even when it could ruin everything." The internet exploded. Again. But this time, with overwhelming support. Letters poured in. Donations to food banks in Wren's hometown skyrocketed. Even politicians started quoting her. Wren had become a voice bigger than the scandal. Bigger than the hate. And Hayden? He panicked. He went on live TV, tried to discredit them. Claimed Wren manipulated Sloane. Claimed Sloane ruined him, out of spite. But he underestimated 2 things. How much Wren was loved now, and how much Sloan was willing to burn. Within 48 hours, Sloan's lawyers released documents implicating Hayden in insider trading and bribery. The recordings followed. Audio of Hayden mocking shareholders, threatening competitors, laughing about how he could ruin anyone. The public turned on him instantly. The board of his company removed him. Sponsors fled. The feds launched an official investigation. His empire collapsed. That night, Sloan found Ren on the roof of their building, barefoot, staring out at the city.
It's done, Sloan said.
We won. It doesn't feel like winning. What does it feel like? Heavy. Sloan nodded. You were never supposed to carry all this. Neither were you. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Ren asked, if you had to do it all over again, would you still say, follow my lead? Sloan turned to her. I'd say it louder. Ren leaned against her shoulder. You terrify me.
Why?
Because loving you means giving up the part of me that never trusted anyone. And I don't know who I am without that armor. Then let's find out together. Ren closed her eyes. There's one thing I want. Anything. I want to end this on my terms. I want the final episode to be live. One night. Unedited. Just me. Telling the truth. About everything. Even about us? Especially about us. Sloan hesitated. You know what that means, right? That they'll watch us fall? Or rise, Sloan whispered. Let's give them a show. But as they sat under the night sky, a figure stood 2 rooftops away, camera in hand, lens trained on their silhouettes. The war was almost over. But not everyone wanted peace. The day of the live broadcast arrived cloaked in a kind of stillness Ren hadn't felt since before the storm began. But beneath the silence, everything vibrated, pressure, anticipation, danger. It wasn't just a documentary finale anymore. It was a reckoning. One shot. No edits. No do-overs. Just her, the camera, and the world watching, waiting to see if she'd survive her own story. The studio was bare.
Purposefully.
Black backdrop. One chair. One spotlight. No glam. No notes. No distractions. Just Ren. Sloan offered to be there off-camera, but Ren shook her head. If I don't do this alone, it won't mean anything. You're not alone, Sloan whispered, brushing a thumb across her cheek. I'm just not in the frame. Ren gave her a soft smile, then walked toward the stage. 30 seconds to air. She took her seat, breathed once, and looked straight into the lens.
Live.
Hi, she began. You know me by a lot of names. The girl who hijacked a fake wedding. The gold digger. The impulsive bartender. The mistake. But those names don't belong to me. You gave them to me. You painted your version. Tonight, I take it back.
She paused.
Let silence speak before she continued. I grew up poor. My mother died when I was 16. I got arrested once for stealing tampons because I was too proud to ask for help. I dropped out of culinary school to take care of my little sister. I made choices. Some of them ugly. All of them mine. Her voice never wavered. Then I walked into a ceremony by accident and met a woman who was everything I thought I hated.
Polished.
Powerful. Cold. Except she wasn't. She was just tired of pretending to be untouchable. And somehow she saw me. Past the armor. Past the attitude. She saw me. She paused again. Then, we didn't fall in love like a fairy tale. We collided. Loudly. Painfully. Beautifully.
She scared me.
I ran. She chased me. I broke. She stayed. Her eyes glistened. But she didn't cry. People like us aren't allowed to love publicly. We're told it's too much. Too fast. Too messy. But I'm not asking for permission anymore. I'm standing here because I love her. I love Sloan Bennett. And no smear campaign, no ex, no billionaire grudge will ever erase what we built. She leaned forward, gaze intense. You tried to destroy me, and you failed. Because I'm still here.
Whole. Loud.
And more dangerous than you ever imagined. The feed cut to black. No credits. No logos. Just silence. Then the internet detonated. Tens of millions watched live. Even more watched in the next hour. Hashtags flooded every platform. Ren James Truth Love is Power Bennett and Fire the final shot. Ren looking straight into the lens, fierce and tearless, became the image of the year. Sloane watched from a monitor backstage, hand pressed to her lips, eyes burning. Then Ren appeared.
Silent.
Radiant. They didn't speak. Sloane just pulled her close and kissed her.
Slow.
Deliberate. No flashbulbs. No script. Just them. Hours later, the emails started pouring in. Sponsorships. Speaking offers. Film deals. Politicians asking to quote her speech. But Ren shut it all down. She didn't want to become a product. She just wanted to be real. You don't owe the world your pain, Sloane reminded her. I know, Ren said. But I owed it to myself to speak. That night, the Bennett Tower was silent. For the first time in months, no headlines, no flashing lights, no cameras outside. Just stillness.
Peace.
Until Sloane's phone rang. A secure number. Don't answer, Ren murmured, head on her shoulder. It could wait. But Sloane did. Her voice was sharp. Bennett. A pause. Then, we caught him. Sloane sat up.
Who?
The leak. It wasn't a board member. It wasn't Hayden. It was your assistant. Silence. Pure, deafening silence. Ren looked up. What is it? Sloane's voice cracked. The one person I trusted more than anyone. The voice on the phone continued. She sold photos. Eavesdropped. Fed info to Hayden in exchange for a position at his firm after you cut ties. She played both sides. And she's disappeared. Where?
Sloane asked. We don't know.
But she's running. And she's not alone. That last sentence hit like a punch. Not alone. We intercepted a communication. There's someone else involved. Someone you haven't accounted for. Sloane stood. So did Ren. This isn't over, Sloane whispered. I thought it was, Ren said. But I think we're just getting to the final battle. And then the building went dark. Lights out. Power dead. Emergency systems failing. Somewhere below, a siren started wailing. And in that moment, Ren turned to Sloane. I'm not afraid, she said. Not anymore. Sloane grabbed her hand.
Tight.
Unshakable. Then let them come. The emergency lights flickered red as the Bennett Tower plunged into darkness. Somewhere below, the backup generators coughed to life, but only for a moment. Then silence. Dead silence. The kind that doesn't just fill a room. It presses into your ribs. Ren stood barefoot in Sloane's office, heart pounding, eyes scanning the shadows. Sloane grabbed her by the hand, firm but calm. We need to move.
Now.
Where? Security floor. There's a fail-safe access point there. From that server, I can trace who's doing this. You have your own spy system? I'm rich and paranoid. Of course I do. They moved quickly through the halls, lit only by thin emergency strips along the floor. On the 32nd floor, Sloane swiped a hidden panel behind a wall painting. The door slid open with a hiss. Inside, a sleek security hub, silent and glowing red. System's been compromised, Sloane muttered. But not wiped. I can still get in. Ren paced. This isn't just some hacker trying to scare us.
No.
This is internal. The assistant. And whoever she's working with. Sloane's fingers danced across the keyboard. A map of the building popped up. Multiple signals. Movement. Floor 28. Then 29. They were coming up.
Fast.
Armed? Ren asked. Looks like it. Perfect. She pulled open a metal cabinet and found a steel baton. You hide. I stall. Absolutely not. You said you loved me. Prove it by staying safe. I'm not leaving you to face this alone. Then stay close. And if I get hit first, avenge me dramatically. God, I love you, Sloane muttered. Then duck. The door to the security room exploded inward with a bang. Smoke poured in. Ren grabbed Sloane and dragged her down behind a server stack. Footsteps entered. Heavy boots. Male voices. Check the terminals. Don't let them wipe anything. What about the girl? We take her alive. Ren locked eyes with Sloane. Not happening. Then everything moved fast. Ren surged forward, bat in hand, slamming it into the first man's knee. He collapsed with a grunt. Sloane grabbed a fire extinguisher and sprayed another in the face, then cracked it against his skull. The third aimed a taser. Ren kicked it out of his hand, punched him in the throat, and shoved him into the wall. But a fourth grabbed her from behind, slammed her into the terminal.
Hard.
Sloane screamed. Ren, I'm fine. Ren gasped, elbowing him hard enough to break free. But before she could move again, a calm, cold voice echoed through the smoke. Enough. They all froze. A woman stepped through the haze. Expensive heels. Smooth hair. Ice in her eyes. Sloane's former assistant. Hello, Sloane. You traitorous. You know, I never cared that you fired me. I cared that you replaced me. That you let her in and gave her everything. She looked at Ren. You don't deserve her. You were never supposed to survive this world. But you did. And that ruins the whole system. That's the difference between you and me. Ren spat. I don't survive systems. I destroy them. The woman smiled. That's what I'm counting on. She raised a remote. Pressed a button. A timer lit up on the terminal screen. 2:59. 2:58. Sloane blanched. What is that? A full system purge. Your servers. Your contracts. Your legacy. And her documentary. You'll erase everything? Including you. Ren moved fast, sprinting toward the panel. But one of the men grabbed Sloane and held a knife to her throat. Touch that terminal and she bleeds. Ren, don't. Sloane shouted. Ren stopped, breathing hard. Heartbreaking. You said you wouldn't hurt her. I lied. You want me? Ren said, stepping forward. Let her go. I want the story to end the right way. The empire falls. The girl loses. And the world forgets your name. No, Sloane said. The world remembers the ones who fought. The ones who bled. And the ones who refused to die quietly. Then she bit the attacker's wrist hard. He screamed, loosening his grip. Ren surged forward and slammed her baton into his ribs. Sloane elbowed him in the face.
He dropped.
The timer ticked down 1:14. Ren turned to the traitor. You have one chance. Or what? Or I show you what happens when you underestimate a girl who's had nothing to lose her entire life. You won't shoot me. You're right, Ren said, grabbing the woman's arm and twisting the remote from her grip. I'll ruin you instead. She turned to Sloane. Can you reverse it? I can try. Sloane's fingers flew across the keys. Come on, 044. The system sputtered. The files started restoring. Sloane gasped. It's working. A shot rang out. Sloane flinched. But it wasn't her. The traitor dropped to the ground, screaming. Ren stood above her, holding the gun she'd taken from one of the men. I wasn't aiming to kill, she said. But next time, I won't miss. Sloane finished the override. The purge froze. Stopped at 0:02. Silence.
Smoke.
Then the hum of restored systems. Ren collapsed into the nearest chair. Sloane joined her, breathless. We did it. Barely. We're alive. For now. And your documentary? Sloane glanced at the screen. Still there. Ren turned to her, wild-eyed and smiling. So, does this count as our first real fight? If it does, we need therapy. But they both laughed, shaking, bloody, but still laughing, still alive, still them. Below them, the authorities stormed the building. The attackers were arrested, the traitor taken into custody, and the world would wake up the next morning to headlines they never expected. Billionaire CEO and accidental bride foil corporate sabotage in midnight attack. But Ren didn't care about headlines. She looked at Sloane. I almost lost you. You didn't. I will never stop fighting for you. Then marry me, Sloane whispered. Ren blinked. What? I'm not asking for PR. Not for distraction. Just us.
Real.
Messy. True. Ren stared at her, then smiled. You said that in part one. And I meant it in part 13. Then ask me again in part 15, Ren said. Because when I say yes, it's going to be the loudest yes this city has ever heard.
Sloane laughed, kissed her hard.
And below them, the city began to glow again. For the first time in what felt like forever, the city was quiet. Not in the literal sense. New York never slept. But for Ren and Sloane, the silence after the storm wasn't absence.
It was sanctuary.
The news had been a wildfire. CEO and fiancé foil corporate sabotage. Ren James disarms attack in high-rise showdown. From accidental bride to national heroine. The world had opinions. The world always did. But for once, Ren didn't care. Because the war was over. And she had survived it. Not alone. With Sloane. Still whole. Still hers. They spent the next few days off-grid, in one of Sloane's private penthouses upstate. No phones. No press. No suits. No makeup. Just coffee in oversized mugs, slow mornings in tangled sheets, and healing in silence. Sloane watched Ren sleep sometimes. Not like a lover watching beauty, but like a survivor counting breaths. Making sure it was real. That she was here. That she was safe. You're staring, Ren mumbled one morning without opening her eyes. It's not creepy if I'm in love with you. Still creepy, but hot. Sloane kissed her shoulder. The board called again. You gonna answer? Not until I know I'm ready to care about empires again. You built an empire. You can build another. I'm thinking of building a garden instead. Now that's hot. But even peace had its echoes. One night, while washing dishes, Ren paused, sponge frozen in midair. Sloane noticed instantly. What is it? I keep waiting for the next attack. There won't be one. You don't know that. I do, Sloane said softly, walking over, wrapping her arms around her from behind. Because now they know you're not afraid to burn the whole system down. Ren leaned into her. I didn't mean to fall in love with you, you know. Neither did I. It's terrifying. It still is. But also the only thing that's ever made me feel like I could be more than just surviving. Sloane turned her around. Then don't just survive with me. Live with me.
Messy. Loud.
Joyfully. Ren searched her eyes. You're really not going to propose again? Not unless you tell me to. Good. Because when I say yes, I want to wear jeans and scream it in Times Square. Done. And I want 3 wedding cakes. Done. And a prenup that includes a clause for weekly back rubs. Now that's a non-negotiable.
They kissed.
Not with urgency, but with depth, with trust, with a softness that only comes after war. Back in a city, the aftermath unfolded. Hayden was indicted. The assistant pled guilty. Sloane stepped down from the day-to-day at Bennett Global, naming a new CEO and choosing to move into a quieter, more creative role. Ren's docuseries was renewed globally. Streaming platforms fought for her next project, but she declined all of them for now. Instead, she opened a community kitchen in her old neighborhood, named it Second Flame. No press release, no launch party, just a sign on the door and the smell of bread in the morning. Sloane helped paint the walls. Terribly. And every Saturday, she hosted knife skills workshops for teens with too much rage and not enough direction. They lived simply, quietly, at least for a while. Until one night, walking home from the market, Sloane paused under a blinking street lamp and said, You said to ask again in part 15. Ren raised an eyebrow. You planning something dramatic? Always. Well, Ren said, adjusting the brown paper bag in her arms. You better make it good. Oh, it will be. That night, Sloane disappeared for 2 hours. When she returned, she wouldn't say where she'd gone. Just kissed Ren and said, Where's something you can run in tomorrow?
Why?
Because if I'm going to ask you the most important question of my life, I want to do it where it all began. Ren blinked. The wedding. The wrong wedding. The best wrong turn I ever made. Then come with me. One more turn. And Ren, smiling like she hadn't smiled in weeks, nodded. Okay, but you better bring cake. Sloane smirked. 3 cakes. Back rub claws included. They stood there under the streetlight, 2 women who had burned and bled and refused to break. And as the world kept spinning, they held onto each other like gravity. Still loud, still messy, still in love, and ready for the ending only they could write. The sky over Manhattan was streaked with gold, the kind of early autumn light that made even chaos feel like poetry. Sloane stood in the middle of the same cathedral where, months ago, she'd been moments away from saying, I do, to a man she didn't love, for a merger she didn't want, in a life that wasn't hers. But this time, the room was empty. No orchestra. No aisle of strangers. No scripted perfection. Just her. And the only woman who had ever made her feel truly seen. Ren stood near the altar, wearing ripped jeans, a white tank top under a worn leather jacket, and a nervous grin that said everything. This wasn't the ending she expected, but it was the one she wanted. This is really where it happened? She asked, spinning slowly to take it all in. Where we met. Technically, Sloane said, this is where you crashed someone else's wedding, called me beautiful to my face, and walked into my life like a hurricane. Best wrong room I ever walked into. You have no idea. Ren turned back to her, eyes warm.
So,
why are we here? Sloane took a deep breath, reached into her pocket, pulled out a small black ring box. Because I meant it. When I said I wanted to ask you again. Not in front of cameras. Not to fix a scandal. Not because we almost lost each other. But because, somehow, through all of it, you've become the home I never thought I'd find. She stepped closer, voice low, raw. You make the silence after the storm feel like music. You taught me that power isn't in control, it's in surrender. In choosing love when it terrifies you. And I want to spend the rest of my life choosing you.
Loudly. Publicly.
And forever. She opened the box. Inside, a silver band. Simple.
Honest.
Ren James. Will you marry me? No contracts. No headlines. Just us. Ren stared at her, lips parted, heart in her throat. Say it again, she whispered. I love you. I choose you. Will you marry me? Ren didn't answer with words. She launched forward, arms around Sloane's neck, mouth on hers in a kiss that said yes 1,000 times over. When they finally broke apart, breathless, Ren whispered, only if I get to pick the playlist. You're getting 3 cakes. You can have the damn playlist.
Good.
Because the first song's going to be Billie Eilish, and the last one's going to be Bohemian Rhapsody. So I hope your board's ready to dance. I'm not inviting the board. Even better. They laughed, forehead to forehead, in the middle of the same space that once felt like a prison, and now felt like a beginning. A week later, the internet broke. Again. Not from scandal, but from a single post, a photo of Ren and Sloane, barefoot in the grass, holding hands and laughing under string lights, 3 mismatched cakes behind them. Captioned, this time, we both said yes. The ceremony was private. 20 guests. Ava was maid of honor. Sloane's mother, who had once begged her to keep her love quiet, stood up during the toast and said, I was wrong. You didn't ruin your life. You rebuilt it. Ren wore white jeans and a blazer. Sloane wore a silky slip dress and sneakers. And when the officiant said, do you? Ren interrupted, yes. I haven't finished, still yes. Sloane grinned. Same. They kissed before they were told to. No one cared. The world didn't end.
It bloomed.
Later, they danced in the garden with no shoes. Sloane spilled wine on her dress. Ren sang off-key into a wooden spoon. And when the final song played, Ren's choice, they pulled each other close and swayed under the stars. I never thought I'd have this, Ren whispered. You don't have it, Sloane murmured back. We built it. From ashes. From blood. From the biggest mistake of your life, walking into the wrong wedding. Ren smiled against her neck. You never let me forget that, huh? Not for a second. Because I never want to forget that the most beautiful thing in my life started with a moment no one planned. And as the night deepened, as the lights glowed, as two women who had burned and bled and dared to love stood holding each other like the answer to every question. It became clear. Forever isn't always quiet. Sometimes it arrives like a storm, or a broken heel on a church floor, or a vow whispered in the dark. But when it's real, you know. And they knew. Finally, they were home. If you enjoyed this content and want to support the channel in a special way, try clicking the thanks button below. It's the one with the heart and $sign icon. With super thanks, you can make a direct contribution to the channel, which helps me keep creating awesome videos for you.